It looks like we're into the second wave of COVID-19. And as anxieties increase, including the risk of another lockdown, what is different now than the first wave? One thing is we have more testing, but according to the University Health Network in Toronto, it takes up to 24 to 48 hours for a lab to process your test. What if you could have the results in 90 minutes and you could take that test anywhere? Well, Health Canada just recently approved a portable rapid testing device called the BCube, a solution provided by Songbird in partnership with MSTA Canada member RWDI. And joining us now is our special guest, Dr. Stephen Newmaster from the University of Guelph, to tell us more about the BCube. Dr. Newmaster, it's a real pleasure to have you on the dig today to talk about this really interesting news.
It's an honor to be here and share knowledge. I'm a pedagogue and a teacher, and this is the way to do it. Get the word out.
Excellent, excellent. So can you tell us a little bit, what is this Hy-Vee BCube?
The BCube is a polymerase chain reaction machine, so a PCR machine. Really what it does is after sequencing, we find markers that are associated with an organism that can differentiate it from any other species or strain, in this case for viruses. And those become probes, and we can run a quick test on this PCR machine to be able to identify any organism. And we do this over and over and over again in many different sectors, like the food industry, testing for pathogens, making sure ingredients are pure, and on that exact same machine. So that machine has been used for a long time, tried and true in the food, natural health product industry. And we've just developed a test for the Corona 2 virus now.
Okay, so what are the real benefits of the BCube relative to, say, some of the other testing that's out there?
Yeah, and there are a lot of other tests out there, but they're meant for use in a clinical lab. So the big game changer that just happened for Canada right now is this instrument that's small and I can hold it in my hand has been approved for point of care. There's only one other system that's approved for point of care, and the government's using it in remote labs, and it's quite large and expensive. So this is small, affordable, fast. There's going to be many situations like in mining and remote areas where you can test quickly and using the CDC approved gold standard test. This is the same test that we designed for use in clinical labs. And if I take a sample and run it on both, I get the exact same answer.
Okay, and so how reliable is it? Like
it's the same as the gold standard test. So as a genetic test, it's a 95% accuracy. The 5% that you miss out on is really sampling error. If I go in and take a saliva sample from you, from your body fluid, there's no guarantee in there, statistical chance that I'm going to actually sample the virus. And then when I do the RNA test, it may not even be there. From a specificity perspective, identifying the Corona 2 virus from other coronaviruses like cause of the common cold, it's like 99.7% accurate. So it's deadly accurate. From a sensitivity point of view, if the virus is there, even in small copies, nanograms per microliter, which probably doesn't mean anything, but in very small amounts, we detect it. And that's one of the real powerful one of the real powerful benefits of a PCR machine.
Right, and you mentioned saliva. How is the test being or the sample being taken now?
So the sample right now is approved for nasal oral pharyngeal. So you do have to do that kind of nasty up the nose, but for point of care, which is great. I'm working with Public Health and Health Canada to do all the validation and clinical trials right now for saliva test. That's imminent. It's coming, and it's coming quickly. The data looks fantastic, and there's some real benefits to doing a saliva test. You don't have that uncomfortable sample taking as the patient, as an employee, number one, but there's a lot of scientific literature that's come out now to say that's the best place to test, the saliva in the mouth. Oh. That's the most infectious.
So, and in terms of the requirements, there's a very portable device too. So is there a lot of training required to take the sample?
No, there isn't. And as I said, we've used a lot in the food industry. We train technicians very quickly. The prep of the sample is 3 to 5 minutes. depending on the individual. Once they get really good at it, it's often like 3 minutes. It goes in the machine, and it's just a 90-minute test.
Okay, 90 minutes.
I've worked with high school students in science class in grade 10, trained them in half an hour, and they're doing wonderful tests on food and natural health products. And it's the exact same protocol. So we have a whole training session already to roll out, online training session.
Okay. And so, you mentioned the mining, and of course that's near and dear to our heart. That's what we live and breathe every day. With the remote sites and stuff, you have one machine, but I'm picturing a kind of a lineup of people. What's the production rate here on this thing, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think there's two important aspects. Of course, you can scale up. You can have more machines, and it's running every 90 minutes, and it runs multiple samples. So it has 16 wells right now. We have to use 4 for positive, negative controls. So you can still run quite a few samples, quite a few patients on one machine, and then you can scale up multiple machines. Now, one of the beautiful things about the machine is it's connected to the cloud. It takes the test and runs the test. It saves the data on the machine on a chip. And as soon as you're in a cellular network or a Wi-Fi network, it uploads it to the cloud, and we have automatic machine algorithms that do the analysis and give you a result on a user platform. The other great thing is these machines are all connected together in what we call swarms. So now in space and time, we can look at infection rates. So you can almost imagine a company with many mining camps, many areas would be able to assess the risk of outbreaks in different places with different times, with different individuals, because at any point you become infected.
Right.
So you test multiple times, or as you're entering into a camp, and so what's the risk of this particular individual bringing it into the camp? And you can keep track of it and you can see it. That's wonderful. The clinical labs don't have that capability right now. The machine's designed to do this. And we do this in the food industry. It's all connected, and you can be testing in your factories all over the world.
Right. Now I'm going to get kind of Orwellian with you here, and that data protection, or the fear of where can this data be used. Is there a way of making it a bit anonymous, though, in terms of?
You can anonymize the data. The data is also in a protected algorithm system, so it's much like a Bitcoin system. So it's a blockchain. One of the pieces of evidence that the company had to provide to Health Canada is to actually hire a hacking company to come in and try and hack the system, and then write a report and give it back. And the system's rock solid.
Wow, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
That's the benefit of having mathematicians work on it. So we designed some pretty solid security on it. Yeah.
Right. Well, this is a really interesting thing. You mentioned kind of that whole cloud piece. It's portable. You can do it in a relative amount of time. In terms of kind of like what next, everybody's asking for, it to be faster. Like what are you guys doing in terms of that?
So this machine's designed to do 2 different types of tests. So it does the gold standard PCR test. We call that qPCR. It can also do a different type of test called isothermal amplification, or LAMP. And LAMP-mediated isothermal amplification, the way it works is the test starts running, and the test identifies whether or not the virus is there. And if it comes back negative, it's like, well, there's no virus there. And you can get that result, and we've designed it so you can get that result in 30 minutes. If it comes back positive, the virus is there, you just let the machine run full 90 minutes, and it then tells you that it's the Corona 2 virus. So the specificity increases with time, but there's a stop point early on at the half hour. We're validating that right now in clinical trials, and we want to have that launched out later this fall. Say by Christmas is the goal, to have that available commercially and validated and approved. So we're working with Health Canada right now and provincial health organizations to provide all the data they need to assess.
Right. So we've got this portable, affordable, and very timely kind of testing facility, which seems to have, and we're getting to a point where the comfort in training in how to actually take the samples coming, it in my mind, and how we've been following the COVID-19 pandemic is, in terms of new norm, pandemics probably aren't going away. And what you seem to be building here is an infrastructure that will be like can be placed anywhere and everywhere, and it will change our confidence in how we can live and carry on.
That's exactly right. And before COVID-19, we didn't have it in place in society. And we knew that as population grew, the risk of a pandemic was higher. And now that we've had one, a recent one, we're building the infrastructure to be able to deal with it more efficiently in the future. So one of the benefits of the BCube is that it's hooked into this network. It's going to be a framework system that's in place, and it has the ability to take on new tests very easily. So we just have a new cartridge for a new pathogen if and when it arrives. So some of the work that I'm doing with my research colleagues at different places in the world, like at Chinese Institute of Medicine, is look and see whether or not on the horizon we have some other pathogens. So we have that test that we're developing. We're also developing tests that are maybe a little more innocuous, like the common flu virus is the coronavirus. One of my concerns is flu season comes, people get sick, and it's going to be called COVID. So you need a test that's going to be able to say COVID, yes or no, common flu virus, yes or no. And we're working on that. We want to roll it out for the end of this year. So you'll be able to run both. The flu virus causes its own problems within the industry. And I imagine in the mining industry, you may not want someone with the flu entering into a camp. And we'll be able to test and say, you know what, stay home for 7 days, so you're not infectious anymore.
Well, yes, like anything, it's highly disruptive, and it's really what we would call fit for service. We already have protocols with a lot of sites that you have to blow for alcohol. So, this is just part of your health and safety protocol. And what I like about this is the further away from the gate, if you will, in access to these remote sites. So now you're more at the airport or even further back, at say an office or something prior to going to the site. To me, it seems like you're getting ahead of the game, and you're able to contain and identify and contain a lot quicker. And I think not to go on too long here with you, but I think we've been complacent with the common cold and the flu, and it has been disruptive, and it does go through, but we've accepted it because of the safety, and COVID's changed the game in that regard. But I think our health and safety will be a lot more, the protocols will change now.
Yeah, it's brought on the technology and the infrastructure now to be able to deal with that issue for the first time. Yeah,
exactly. So any other things you'd like to share with us with regards to this great news?
One capacity that we're working on, we haven't talked about yet, is the number of tests you can do in the machine is going to double. So it's going to go from 16 up to 32 or 36. We're still working it out. And it's just a cartridge change. So you still keep the machine. It's just the cartridge that goes in it is going to hold more samples. So that's going to enable more test samples, more capacity. And I think that's going to be important for the user.
Definitely, yeah. So it's portable. You're going to make it faster. You're going to increase its capacity. You're going to make it easier to sample, and you'll start moving to a saliva test protocol as well. So, and it's amazing how fast this innovation's moved as it has, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. And if you don't mind, we'll give you an open invitation to come back and educate us on that.
Come back and share the word, and I'm so grateful for organizations like what you have to be able to educate and share the word. Otherwise, the science stays in a box, stays in some journal, doesn't get used.
Right. Well, it's been a real pleasure to have you on the dig, and thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And thank you for joining us on the dig. But before we go, I want to welcome back Stephanie Alvarez to share some important information with us. It's been a while, Steph. Glad to have you back.
Thanks, Ryan. I'm very happy to be back. I miss you all. Our Companion 2021 is a very special edition as it marks MSTA Canada 40th anniversary. Our Compendium is for all new and existing members, and for more information, you can contact Linda Collins at collins@mstacanada.ca. Also, I would like for everybody to save the date for our annual forum and the Japan Trade Mission, that both will be hosted virtually this year, starting on the week of November 2nd. I will be sharing more details about our program of the annual forum, but I would like to let you know that our Japan Trade Mission is for members only. For those who would like to join the trade mission, as well as know more about our membership, you can contact membership@mstacanada.ca. Have a great week.
Thanks a lot, Stephanie. Until next time, I'm Ryan McEachran. Take care and stay safe.